Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar on LMS integration with Blackboard, your link to a simpler and more engaging experience. My name is Alex Rainford. I am the Associate Marketing Manager of Impact and Digital Platforms, and today I'm joined by Matthew Anakin, a Customer Success Manager here at Cengage, who is going to walk us through the integration of a MindTap course in Blackboard. So we're going to spend a little bit of time first talking about the benefits of LMS integration, and then we're going to get directly into Blackboard and MindTap itself so you can see just how simple it is. So very briefly, some of the benefits of LMS integration are a seamless user experience, and this is for you and your students. This means that students will be able to log in using their Blackboard login and link out directly to MindTap, all within that one instance of logging on. This means they won't have to log in twice in two separate windows. They'll be able to work from your current Blackboard course. Of course, another benefit is deep linking, and this is going to give you the ability to link directly out from Blackboard to a variety of activities like quizzes, readings, and other assignments in MindTap from your Blackboard. And a really nice feature here is the automatic grade return. And this is going to be able to grade your MindTap assignments and pull those grades directly into your Blackboard grades document. And what this will do is allow all of your MindTap grades to be integrated directly into your Blackboard course grades. So a couple basics regarding Blackboard integration. This does require configuration of your campus Blackboard server by your LMS admin. Now, the chances are that your campus has already done a Blackboard integration, so you should be good to go here. You'll also work with your Cengage learning consultant to have content deployed directly to your campus. So this just means your learning consultant will help you set up whatever materials you've chosen for your course. And finally, you'll be able to link your Cengage faculty account. This will just be your instructor account you currently use to sign in to view your Cengage materials and instructor resources. You'll link this with your Blackboard Learning Management System and you will be good to go. And I do want to mention throughout this that there is lots of available support for you as a professor, including Cengage learning consultants, digital solution specialists, and more that will be able to help you integrate your course and do some of the heavier lifting for you. Finally, we do have a list of our supported products here that we currently support in LMS integration. I do want to point out that we have Applia, Cengage Now V2, OWL V2, 4Letterpress Online, OpenNow, and SAM that are all available for integration. However, for today's presentation, we are going to be focusing on MindTap. So without further ado, I will introduce Matthew, who will take us through a Blackboard integration, and he will go ahead and share his screen so you all can see what a MindTap integration into Blackboard looks like.
Thanks, Alex. So as Alex mentioned, my name is Matthew Anakin. I'm a Customer Success Manager here with Cengage. My area of focus is I will work with instructors and learning consultants to help them understand the implementation process to get our Cengage content into the learning management system. I'll also work with system administrators to ensure that our setup is ready to go for that process. Today we're looking inside of one of my demo Blackboard environments. So I'd like to show you how we get the initial setup in here to get our tools activated. As a first start, I generally like to create a new content area within Blackboard. And right off the bat, I'll just name it MindTap Access. And you can always come back and change the name for this later on. I make this available to students. And this is an area where I will house some initial MindTap links and also resources pertaining to the MindTap Access. I'm going to go ahead and launch into this content area. And to initially get Cengage loaded into your Blackboard course, you're going to select from your Partner Content drop-down tab, and we'll select Content Market. If you are a first-time MindTap user or accessing Cengage content within Blackboard, it will prompt you for a one-time sign-on process. This sign-on process will look very similar to the screen where it's asking for your username and password. These credentials will be the same credentials that you would use to establish your Cengage instructor account. This is a one-time process, so once you've done this, you'll have complete single sign-on access from Blackboard to your MindTap course. Once that's complete, we'll also see various resources available in your content market. We're going to select top left over here for Cengage Learning. That now activates the tool within the Blackboard course. Our next screen it brings up shows us our Cengage Content Selector. This features a list of all the titles that Cengage has deployed out to be available on that school server. We do have some features to help search by the title. Everything will come in by the most recent date. And we have search features up here where we can do it by keyword or also by title. I'm going to search for Ehrlich. It's an author I work with for a medical terminology course. So we see it brings up the different results for this title. I can see differences in here between a 7th edition and an 8th edition version. Also, I see license types of these deployments as well. Deployment types are sent out either as access code required, which will require your students to enter in an access code for prolonged access to the course. And we also have site license access available. These work where students are not prompted for an access code, but instead they pass directly through MindTap, and the billing is handled normally with the bookstore or bursar's office after an add drop period. For our purposes, I'm going to select to create one with this access code required. It's the most typical that I see for instructors. So I'm going to select the Ehrlich Medical Terminology title. When I do that, it's going to prompt a course creation for this title. It shows that I have the MindTap with 4 terms on here, and I have 4 different course creation options. The first one allows us to create a new MindTap course. This will provide us with the stock content and availability of all the assets within that MindTap. Another option we have is to copy from an existing MindTap course. So in the same respect that you can copy a Blackboard shell over from semester to semester, you'll also have the same opportunity to do that with your MindTap courses. Simply, this will show the list of previous MindTap courses that you've used with this title. You can select that one from the list and establish your new course. Another option that we have for course creation is to copy from another instructor's course. This would involve having access from the other instructor's course key. Typically, they're fairly long keys within here. They may be a little bit shorter, but this is a unique course identifier that will designate what that course runs to. By utilizing this course key, you'll be able to preserve any of the customizations and edits that that instructor made to their MindTap course so that it flows into your course. A final option that we have is to link to an existing course or section. So if you've created a MindTap course on our Cengage site at cengage.com within your instructor account, you can link that course directly to your Blackboard course and have it established through there. For our purposes, I'm going to go ahead and create a new MindTap course. It does have some required fields and allows us to put in a course name. I'm going to call this one Medical Terminology 101. If I were teaching multiple sections, I would also like to include the section number within my course name. And additionally, I recommend to put in the term that you're teaching from this course. As you start building up additional MindTap courses and you have the ability to copy from those courses in the future, it'll be important to designate good names for your courses so you can easily identify what you would want to copy from. With the course name set, we can select from the MindTap course start date. The course start date will determine the first day of trial access that students will have to your MindTap course and also determines the weekly schedule within MindTap. Selecting our end date for a typical semester, we can go out to October, and this will be the last day, or to December. This will be the last day that the students will be able to access the MindTap course. Final requirement is to set a time zone. This will dictate the assignment times for anything that you would set availability or due dates for. So if we're setting it at 11 o'clock Eastern time for a due date, students in a central time zone would have 10 o'clock p.m. central time to be able to turn that assignment in. With all the required information filled out within here, I can go ahead and click continue. And this will establish our course. New to our integrations for fall is an ability to either sync individual grade items to the Blackboard gradebook, or we can sync an entire MindTap total score to the Blackboard gradebook. Some use cases for this is if an instructor wanted to say that all the activities in MindTap would count for 20% of their total grade. Maybe they just want to have one gradebook column within Blackboard, and then they could use Blackboard's gradebook features to categorize that to weight that to be 20% of their total score. The other option, and most common that I see, is to synchronize individual activity scores so that each assignment within MindTap will have its own individual gradebook column within Blackboard. For our purposes, we're going to continue with this method of synchronizing individual activity scores. Go ahead and select Continue here and continue to complete our import. It's now going to bring us and ask us where we want to set the link for our MindTap course. Because we started in our MindTap Access content folder, it's going to default here, but we could choose to browse and locate other content areas within the Blackboard course to set our links. For our purposes, I'm going to go ahead and submit that within this folder. After clicking the Submit button, it will bring us back to our content area, and we'll see that the Cengage link has now been created. A couple things to notice is, one, it does have our Cengage logo in front of it, so this is very beneficial for you and for students to identify the links needed to be able to access their Cengage materials. As a start, I like to test my MindTap course and click to activate it. Now, MindTap does operate as a pop-up, so if you are clicking on this window and your MindTap course is not launching, you will need to go to your browser settings and activate your pop-ups. In Google Chrome, which I'm operating, I can come up to my top left site information, view my drop-down. You can see that my pop-ups are allowed. However, if they weren't, I can go to my site settings, find my pop-ups, and select to allow them from within my browser. Back to the MindTap course. First launch, it'll display the name of the course that you set it, the start and the end dates, and the cover of the book. Click the X to remove from this view. Another first-time view is a short MindTap tour to feature some of our navigation. This will go over our learning path, accessing our editing mode, how to add activities, how to enable filters within MindTap, apps, and how to use the search feature within the course. Now that I have my MindTap course established within Blackboard, I'm going to spend most of my time within MindTap to make any customizations and edits that I might like to. Assuming that we're not going to cover all the content within MindTap, we can hide that content to remove it. When we remove content from MindTap, especially for any graded activities, they will also be removed from our MindTap gradebook. We do have our editing feature within here where we can select multiple items and we can edit those individually or just hide them out of the way. Other editing options that you may want to do from within here are to set your point values for the assignments. Points will be stock point values, however you will have an ability to adjust those point values. You'll want to make those edits first before you continue on to integrate these assignments in Blackboard, as the point values contained in these assignments will dictate the point values in your Blackboard gradebook columns. So for our purposes, we're going to assume that we have customized this MindTap course to feature all the content, all the grade point items are the way that we need them set. So with the MindTap portion finished, I'm now going to go back to Blackboard and continue the integration of additional content. With that, I typically see instructors will have some sort of content area set up, and they'll have some structure to hold that content, whether it be weekly folders, as I've marked here. I've also seen chapter folders, unit folders, module folders. Either way, we're building a place to contain our specific links. So I'm going to access week 1 from within here, and now I want to place links for my students to access some of the content within MindTap. To do that, I can use my Tools drop-down, and I'm going to select Cengage Learning Mind Links from the list. This will now populate a list from our content selector that will show all the MindTap assets that are available within there. So we see that we have the Chapter 1 inside of here. Within Chapter 1, there are various assets for different assignments, image labeling, pronunciation guides, flashcards, lecture notes. For each of these individual assets, we have an option to add that to the course. So for our purposes, I'm going to go ahead and select and add a link that will take students to Chapter 1. Additionally, for any of our assignments within MindTap that do count towards a grade, we're going to have an option to add that activity to the gradebook column. So I have a couple assignments here for quick checks. I'm going to go ahead and select to add them to the course. It'll also add it to the gradebook column at the same time. Either one that I check for that. If I want to put additional resources in here, I can find those. So I have another check yourself and some additional assignments. So assuming I have all the assignments selected, I can come up to this Confirm Selections box. It'll provide a list of all the links that will be dropped inside of the MindTap content module. Plus, it'll also provide a link of all the gradebook items that are going to be created within the Blackboard gradebook. As long as I'm fine with this list, I'll go ahead and click Save. It'll import those links, and it's going to bring us back within our options for where we want to place those links. Again, because I started in that Week 1 content module, it's going to default to that view. Again, I can browse, select any other content modules, and place the links there. Another point to note is that the point values for the assignments, they will be displayed here. So again, the point value that was originally set within MindTap will be the same point value that's going to be created to the Blackboard gradebook. Again, another reason why you want to customize your point values before you bring in your assignments to deep link them. Assuming all this is good, I'm going to go ahead and click Submit. This will bring us back into our weekly folder, and we'll see that we now have our Cengage links created. As far as navigation for the links and how they work, we can select Chapter 1, and this will take us to MindTap and expose all of the Chapter 1 assets that are going to be available. So we see at Chapter 1, we've brought it up, and that content is expanded so we can see all the content available for it. From here, students can access any of the resources, reading, or any of the assignments and go ahead and complete those assignments. Additional ways for navigation into MindTap is for our assignment links. These links have to be present somewhere within the Blackboard course in order for the grades to flow from MindTap to Blackboard. However, students do not have to access them to complete the activity. But we do have these in here so students do have a quick direct access to them. So if I click on my link for this word part mastery assignment, it's going to launch me into MindTap and take me directly to that assignment to complete that activity. Now I have my word parts, I can launch open my assignment and complete it from within here. Again, I'm not restricted to this particular area within MindTap. I can click my X up towards the top right. That'll bring me out to the MindTap learning path where I can access any other activities that would be available for students. So with our assignment links, we also created Blackboard gradebook columns. So if we go down to our Results Center within Blackboard, expand our full Results Center, we'll see that we now have some gradebook columns that have been created. Each column will correspond to each respective assignment from within MindTap. We can see the name will display once we hover our mouse over top of the column heading, and also up above it'll bring us some more details to display the assignment name, number of students that have submitted that assignment, and also the point value associated with that. One quick tip that I work with instructors on is they may want to rename some of these gradebook names that display within Blackboard. To do so, you can select a drop-down next to the assignment name, click Edit Column Information, and you're able to change the Results Center name. I'll change this to just Quick Check 1.1, and I'm going to leave off the word part mastery within here. Once I've completed that, I can click Submit, and we have the updated name that's going to display inside of here. For the assignment integrations, you can have links to any number of assignments and activities within MindTap. So the possibilities are kind of endless depending on how your course is set up. A couple other things for our course setup as well. I'm coming back to my MindTap Access area where I have my course level link. I recommend renaming this link for your students to make this a little bit more actionable. And the best way to rename our links in Blackboard is you can click the drop down next to the link name, click Edit. And now we have our name box where we can reconfigure our name. Most typically, I will put this as Access MindTap 4, keep the rest of the course name within here, and click Submit. This makes the link a little bit more directional for students so they know that this is their access link for MindTap. In addition to our course access link, I also like to put resources within the modules. One of them is a link for Cengage technical support. To do that, I can access my tools, Cengage Learning Mind links, and the content selector for my MindTap title. Once this list displays, I'll be able to navigate down to the bottom of the list and find an option to enter in our Cengage technical support link to the course. So I confirm my selections, confirms I'm going to put my link in, and now we'll have a Cengage link directly inside of the Blackboard course. Benefits for this are if students are having an issue getting initial access to MindTap, they always have a direct link to Cengage from our website. Another resource that I'll put in our MindTap resource area will be registration instructions for students. We do have a support page with Cengage.com where you can navigate for students, product logins. I've brought up the instructions for using an access code within Blackboard. This will present students with a video to walk them through the registration process, some screenshots of what the process, information on how to enable pop-ups, and also linking to their Cengage account and payment options for their course. To utilize this resource, I copy the URL from this page, come over to my Blackboard course, and utilize the Build Content tool, web link, right-click and paste my URL, and then title this. With that said, I'll click Submit. And I'm going to use a drag and drop so I can pull this above my MindTap access link so that your students would access the resources first, see the instructions, and then proceed on to access the MindTap. All right, Alex, pretty much covered our integration from within Blackboard, going through how to set the deep links, establish the course, and also make some edits and modifications to the link names from within here.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Matthew.
Sure.
I will quickly go over for everyone a couple of very helpful training resources that you can utilize both for yourself and for students. The first thing I want to quickly mention is the digital success specialists. Now, these people, along with your learning consultant, will be able to help you set up your LMS integration with Blackboard and MindTap, and they'll just be able to do some of the heavy lifting for you to make the start of the semester as easy for you as it possibly can be. We also, of course, have customer success managers like Matthew who work with your LMS admins to make sure that your campus is ready to go. A quick training website I want to point you to is www.cengage.com/training, and I will actually take you there. So on the training page, what we have here is a nice destination for both instructors and students that will let you pick by platform the training materials you would like to access. So in this case, we'll be selecting MindTap. And in addition to all sorts of great user guides, webinars, videos, and resources on MindTap, you can filter by topic and even by LMS resource like Blackboard. So if we click here, that will take you to all sorts of Blackboard training videos, training documents, and even a recording of this webinar for you to reference in the future. We also have Cengage.com/student training, and this is really, really great for your students, and it's a great thing to send them to. And it'll allow them to do something similar where they'll select Mind Tab, and then they will be able to click into which learning management system they are using. So if they're using Blackboard in this case, they'll be able to come in here and get a step-by-step guide walking them through the registration and process to get into Mind Tab through Blackboard, which is really nice. And finally, the last thing I want to mention is the LMS technical support link that Matthew mentioned in his presentation. It's a great thing to drop into your Blackboard course. That way your students can submit any tech support cases directly through Blackboard and they'll be routed to the appropriate person here. Finally, I just want to say thank you everyone for watching. If you have any other questions or need anything else related to LMS integration, MindTab, or other platforms, Cengage.com/training is the place to go. Thanks everyone for attending and have a great semester.